Erik Ten Hag has got the full backing of the boss. Well, Pep Guardiola is growing increasingly frustrated and tired. I'll give you an update about what's happening with him and his time at Manchester City. My name is Webb. Welcome to the United Hotspot. And here is mostly a wrap up of all Manchester United news today. And of course, we do know, at least for the most important Erik Ten Hag story, what has come through earlier on was that Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos are going to take a very proper objective review of the season and come up with a decision on his future. But guess what? Ineos are confused by the situation with Erik Ten Hag because there is even more than just the backing from the supporters and seemingly the players. Sir Alex Ferguson, the boss of bosses at Manchester United, is also, as has always been the case, continuing to back Erik Ten Hag to be a successful manager at Manchester United. I can tell you, I will take you back to last season when Erik Ten Hag led us to the Carabao Cup. Sir Alex Ferguson said he's the right guy. He has understood the DNA of the club. Man United is all about winning. He has brought that back in the club and all. He was happy and excited about it. Now he seems to maintain the same feeling about him after him lifting the FA Cup. You saw him in the stands and the way that he congratulated him. I think of all the directors who were up there. I mean, when they were getting these medals and being awarded the trophy, I think it was only Sir Alex Ferguson who gave Erik Ten Hag a proper, a handshake and smile with genuine interest and happiness. You clearly saw that Ferguson was backing Erik Ten Hag. Perhaps he still had a hand in his recruitment. So, and no wonder Ferguson is always at Carrington and Old Trafford, always there to try and support them and everyone. So he's still backing him, and that is confusing Ineos the more because they want to get everyone along. And if you talk everyone at Man United, I think Sir Alex Ferguson is everyone really. He's all of us, yeah, isn't he? So it's a good thing for Erik Ten Hag for that to be happening, for him to be backed by Sir Alex Ferguson is so important, and maybe it could mean a thing in terms of which decision Ineos come out with in a few weeks to come. Now, the latest story that has come through is that following that FA Cup loss, which did not sit well with Pep Guardiola, you heard him after the game, first of all, heaping praise on Lisandro Martinez, saying he's one of the top five best centre backs in the world. He was the difference in the game. He was playing passes between their defenders. What we already know, obviously. I think we've been talking about that. The issue with Martinez is just injuries. Now, we know how good he is. He's not a World Cup winner by mistake. But Pep Guardiola also came out and said he takes the blame for his poor tactics, and that's why they failed and all. But the latest coming through is suggesting that Pep Guardiola will leave at the end of next summer. He will leave Manchester City, despite the owners of the club wanting him to stay. He wants to move on and seek a new challenge. Now, of course, Manchester United, fans who wish for themselves every good thing must be going. Maybe we keep Erik Ten Hag and wait for Pep and get him after he leaves Man City. I don't think that would be a good thing for Manchester United to do. I don't think for us to go for Pep Guardiola would make Ineos in any way geniuses. I think it wouldn't sit well. In the first place, he himself wouldn't join Manchester United, to be in all honesty. So I've had people trying to come up with such comments on X, but I think that's a no go area for me. It's a thing of the pressure in the Premier League, and honestly, I was telling someone, actually I said it during the game, the Man City game. I was saying Pep Guardiola. I posted it in some group, and I was saying Pep Guardiola needs to take a sabbatical or a break of football because it will kill him. I think he's growing older and he's too passionate. He can't control it. You saw against which team was Spurs when Son missed that goal and he was almost dying. If he had scored it, what was going to happen? He went down with the ball, but he was saved by Ortega. So you think about it and you see the man is he can't handle it. Before, when he was younger, it looked cool and interesting, but this is genuine pressure. I think the passion in this guy won't let him leave. With these players lately who are not so good as he was with these very special players back then, you're thinking, hmm, he might collapse on the touchline, and he doesn't have to, does he? Because I mean, yeah, what hasn't he done in football? He has just changed football clearly. I think for generations and generations to come, he reinvented football, if you would say. So what business does he have dying on the touchline? So he's probably contemplating following Jurgen Klopp, saying, and I mean, if Jurgen Klopp would leave Liverpool after just one Premier League title and one Champions League title, feeling like he's a legend, how about Pep Guardiola, who has won four consecutive Premier League titles, won a treble, and he's still clearly by far the best manager in the world? How about him to say, you know what, that's it, what have I achieved or done? So that's where we are. It's, I think, the most trending story now concerning football. But you clearly see that I think he has anticipated that after next season, the pressure from Arsenal, Liverpool, Newcastle, Manchester United, Aston Villa now, what else? Chelsea, it will be unbearable for him. Man City will not be, I think, riding on a solo horse. So I think it's a good time to move. I keep telling people the hardest thing to know in life is when to move. It's very difficult for someone to know when to say, you know what, this is it, it's done, let me move on to the next. It's so difficult for people to make that decision. Yet it's probably the most important decision in life. You should know when to move on, and you before you overstay your good, because with Pep Guardiola and how good he has been everywhere he's been, if he overstays at Man City and things start falling apart like they have started, you saw how they struggled to win the Premier League title this season. You saw how we've beaten them. The worst Manchester United squad has beaten them to the FA Cup title. It shows, and not just fumbling into a victory. It was really a proper man's game. Man United and their victory. So you think about that, and you're thinking, isn't this the right time for this man to move on before it all comes crumbling down on him? English football is so brutal that it can destroy even Pep, even the mighty Pep. We are beginning to see a semblance of it. When these other clubs get better with time, he certainly knows that after next season it will be a whole different ball game. So maybe that is why, and I'm not saying it's exactly why, but I'm just trying to think about it and analyze and saying maybe he feels he should take another break. Remember, he was out of football, I think, for about a year. He took a sabbatical for some time. It was said he had gone to learn how to play chess and stuff, and indeed, when he came back, he was a whole different guy. But yeah, that's what's happening, I think, online. It's a very interesting story. Let's monitor what happens with Pep. But clearly, he's probably lost the fire and the passion. And when you work on passion like he is, clearly a passionate guy who is at times talking to himself about football. If you lose that fire, you can't keep going. So no one would feel bad. It will only be painful to the neutrals that from first Jurgen Klopp leaves and then Pep Guardiola follows. That he wouldn't really look good for football, because we need these characters. We need one at least at the very worst, one of those characters is still needed in the Premier League to make it more exciting and competitive. But probably, again, like I said, he felt this is the time for him to move, and you feed it when your time comes. You feed it. You don't force it. Otherwise, it ends bad when you try to force it. So that's what's going on with Manchester United. Now, Casemiro, the reports leaking him away from Manchester United are increasingly real. It is likely that whereas he has still got a contract running, Casemiro seems to be surplus to requirements to Ineos, and Amrabat is seeming to be now the in favor player now, the one favored now, to come in and at least try to have that mantle, but also push the whichever younger player Man United will bring in to play that position. So Casemiro probably is no more. He might be leaving Manchester United. Uh, Still talking Man United, the lads Kobe Mainu and Rasmus Hoyland, Alejandro Garnacho, and of course the young Amad Diallo have increasingly caught the attention of the world as they've been trending all day because of the promise they give. I had uh, Roy Keane, rather Paul Scholes, heaping praise on Kobe Maino because he's saying that he has had people compare him to Kobe, and he's saying at 19, and I said it also in a video here, that at 19, the reason why I was so amazed by the talent of Kobe is because I know even our greatest midfielders or footballers were not as good as he is at 19. No footballer I've seen with my eyes is as complete as Kobe is at 19. So you think about it, what will he be when he grows and becomes more mature? Because a 19-year-old is a 19-year-old. You can't take away certain things from them. But for this boy, the maturity, not just in being interviewed, but on the pitch, in big games, in a forest of legs, in everything, the maturity of this boy is unbelievable. Is unbelievable for a 19-year-old. That even Paul Scholes, Cristiano Ronaldo, even Messi were not as mature in their play as he is at 19. They were extremely talented, but they had areas you clearly so they needed to improve and grow in. Kobe has you don't see what we are just waiting to see, and naturally he has got to get better. So we don't know what he will look like when he's better, because at his debut, in his debut season, he's already as good as anyone else in their prime. Clearly he will be a proper starter for England at the Euros. So it's an interesting thing. So these boys are certainly fired up now. They're boys to men now. They have grown from boys to men, and the fans of Man United feel, I think, for once, extremely energized and expectant of the future, knowing that things will be okay. That's why they don't want anything to tinker with what Erik Ten Hag is building with these kids. And you try to get it, but that's all again based on Ineos and what they want to do. So that's a wrap up of what's happening today concerning Manchester United. My name is Webb. Subscribe to the NHL Sport. I'll catch you later, fam.